We've tested a lot of different sports cars, and one thing is for sure, it's not always the biggest engine that produces the amount of horsepower that's the best for the car. It's the total package. And that might be the case in the Toyota Supra Mark V GR. Well, let's find out.
This is the 5th generation of the Toyota Supra GR, which was launched in 2019. Since then, a 4-cylinder variant was also introduced in 2021, which we'll look at in this video. The starting price of the 4-cylinder is also much lower than the inline 6-cylinder at 52,850 euros for the Pure. And you also get a dynamic for 57,350, which we have standing right here. Our test vehicle will set you back 60,350 euros because there's only one extra, which is the premium package for 3,000 euros. If you want to get the inline 6-cylinder, that starts at 67,850,000 euros. Let's also look at how fast this car is from 0 to 100.
The thing that I love about cars is when they have a very particular and interesting design look, and they're just one of a kind. That is the case for the Supra Mark V in my opinion, because this looks very, very nice. It's on the same platform as the Z4, which is the CLAR platform, but it looks a lot different. We have a very pointy nose in the front with a license plate that is bent. In America this would look a lot nicer because you don't have a license plate on there. Down here we have a very sporty looking spoiler or front lip, which is in complete black. We have air intakes down here in the center on the side. This is fake however, and we also have some indents for our let's call them fake air indents or air vents, which is for instance down here. That's a fake one, but it looks very, very nice. The slip also goes up very high. We have a light in here, which is not matrix, but still an LED light. A very big bonnet, which is the case because we can also get the R6 in here, so the 6-cylinder, but we only have the 4-cylinder. We actually already know this engine quite well because it is the famous B48, which for instance is also in the Z430i. This produces 258 horsepower and 400 Newton meters of torque. It might not seem like a lot, but for this car it is, because this car only weighs 1.4 tons. It is powered by its twin scroll turbo, which is a very nice addition, in conclusion with its 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. And this is going to get you from 0 to 100 in 5.2 seconds and also the max of 250 kilometers an hour.
But what actually is a twin-scroll turbocharger? Well, it's actually not that complicated. The twin-scroll turbocharger is basically inside of a single turbo housing with a single turbine blade, but with 2 channels for the exhaust gas to travel through. Those 2 channels are also known as scrolls. This will get better responsiveness of the engine, especially at low RPMs, and also similar to price to a single turbocharger, but similar efficient to a twin turbo, which is really, really nice.
One way that you'll notice that this is the 2-liter engine is if we take a look at the rims. These are going to be 18-inch standard-wise on the 2-liter. On the 3-liter, you're going to get 19-inch for the standard size. We also got 255s in the front and 275s in the back, compared to a Z4. That's 20 millimeters wider on the front and 30 on the back. If we look at the brake calipers, pistons, we got 4 on the 3-liter engine and 1 only on the 2-liter engine. Is that enough? We'll check that out once we're driving. If you look at the silhouette, first of all, this is going to be the lightning yellow color, which looks stunning on here with the black colors in my opinion. Automatically foldable side mirrors and just a silhouette that looks so good. We have fake touches for the outlets, for the vents that go out. Also one on the side here, which looks really, really nice. We have keyless go on the front. We only have a front, we don't have a back. So if you open this, one thing you notice also, the door is extremely wide and has a very wide opening angle. Therefore, if you're in the parking lot, you're gonna have to take good care of trying to get out. And the other thing, because this car is only 1.33 meters tall and has a ground clearance of 11.5 centimeters, it is insanely small, so you have to get in here very, very, well, it's kind of hard to get in here, and especially out, because the side rail here is insanely big. So I'm that person that puts their leg on here and always makes it dirty. The car's also going to be 4.38 meters long and also 1.85 meters wide, so a fairly wide boy as well. Let's take a look at the lower part of the rear, because this looks very, very sporty. We get this full blacked out diffuser down here with some nice aerodynamic touches. In the center, that might look like a recharging light from Formula 1, but that's actually separated into two pieces, so a white and also a red light. In the center, you're going to get one for your rear fog lights, and on the bottom part for your rear view, or the backing up lights basically, so the white ones. Down here we also have exhaust pipes, which are going to look different compared to the 3 liter. The 3 liter get a little bit more bigger ones, which sound a little more deeper because it is the 6-cylinder. And down here, let's quickly take a listen to them, because the 4-cylinder actually has quite a lot of emotions and characteristics, in my opinion. Let's take a look at the rest of the rear. We have the Supra logo on here. If you get the higher versions or the special editions, you'll also have the Supra logo in red. Down here, GR and the lights up here, which are nicely integrated with this rear vent, which looks good, but it is fake, but still a very good looking silhouette. And just look at the wideness of this car. It is just very, very wide and thick from the back. I love it. If we look up top, we can also open the car for its trunk. The only way you can open this is if you go on the side door. You can also press a button on there, or you can use your key fob to hold it down and then open it up a little bit. One thing is, it's just, if you have big fingers, this is kind of hard to open, but you have to put it down there and then you can open it. In here we have a surprisingly big storage space because it goes down a lot. 290 liters, which is completely fine. We did a weekend trip with it with all our camera equipment and 2 bags, so for 2 people, and we fit everything in there. So let's first of all talk about the interior before we start driving this car. It is just a BMW. I mean, down here BMW, up here BMW. Let's turn it on real quick so you can also see a little bit. Infotainment display is an older BMW version compared to the Z4, for instance. Very intuitive, very easy to use. There's not really much that you can have. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, like you can see right there, wirelessly, if you get the comfort package, which costs you 3,000 euros extra. Down here you can also see we get the older BMW gear shifter, which I personally really like. It's a really nice gear shifter. We don't have a manual gearbox, which we'll get to in a second. Again, BMW right here, so you can do it via this, or you can, because it is a touchscreen, you can just press that and you're going to be able to use that as well. Safety system, which is really nice. You can press that and it'll, you can put it into visual mode, and you can turn off front collision warner, for instance, or you can change how early it's supposed to basically give you the warning, and you can also turn off lane assistant, which is nice. So you can just press that and you can turn it on and off, as well as traction control. You can turn that off if you want right there. I don't think it works right now because I am not in the car's not on. Electric parking brake, and again a steering wheel, which feels really nice. The only thing I don't like is this down here. They could have just removed it and make it a pass-through, and now you have this plastic insert in there, which is really not that nice. A couple of controls down here. You got piano black in there. Basically no space where you can put anything down there. That is also where you open your trunk and your front tailgate. You can also put two cup holders in there. You got 2 cup holders in there, and you can store something down here. And down here you can pass through down to your luggage compartment, which is nice. And the rear passenger as well. One thing you also get is you get memory function in here, and you also get, well, you got memory function and an electrical seat, as well as 12 speakers. Let's take it for a spin and let's listen to it. Let's put it into sport mode and then start it up. Very nice sound from a 4-cylinder. I personally really do like that. You can see we do have a digital cockpit here, which is like semi-digital, so this is not digital, but this is, which is a really nice touch, as well as a heads-up display, so very, very nice. Let's also turn that down a little bit. One thing you notice straight away when driving this car is the surrounding view, because it's basically non-existent. Well, it is fairly good, but you just get used to it. You're driving a sport car. The front window is so tiny. When I got back into a normal car, I was like, wow, that's a big window, and this is just super tiny. Also, the rear view is actually fairly decent. You can see out the back, you just got straight up view out the back, which is nice. And, well, you're very blocked when it comes to this side out of there. You got insanely big windows. One thing you'll notice at as if you drive about 55 kilometers, the wind and like the turbulence in here just gets so loud, and you have to open up, you have to close the window, otherwise it's just, you can't drive it. Otherwise, surrounding view is fairly decent. One thing I have noticed, you don't get sensors in the back or in the rear. So if I put it into reverse, you do have a camera, and you can, for instance, also turn that off, but there's no sensors in the back. So if you drive close to something, it's not going to beep, just like in the front. There's no beeping anywhere, which I was almost, well, the first time I drove it, I was like, okay, it's going to beep eventually when driving up the front, but it doesn't. So I was a little bit irritated and almost drove into the wall. And that is one thing you notice if you close, if you open the window, just listen to the turbo spool up. I gotta go drive a little bit slower. Did you hear that? There you go. It always does that. And if you're driving really slow in low RPM, well, let's go this way. Oh, that is amazing. If you saw a video on the S3, that was a little bit, well, you heard it from the inside, and that was the perfect like Hellcat, which was amazing. You don't get that in here, but still, if you're driving in the inside, you're not going to be able to hear it, because it is the 2-liter. You're gonna get less power, around 80 horsepower, but the car is gonna weigh around 100 kilograms less, which is quite nice. Therefore, the directness of the steering wheel input gets a lot more. It drives better around the corners because you have less weight to shift around the corners. It is not as efficient as on higher speeds as the 3-liter, which obviously, if you're driving on the Autobahn, video on the top right corner if you want to check out the top speed run of this car on the Autobahn, then you'll definitely notice the lack of power. But still, it gets up there fairly quick. We did a 100 up to 215.02 seconds, which is not bad at all. However, you'll definitely notice that the speed is missing up there. You just get a little bit more power and a little bit more exhaust sound from the 3-liter, which is amazing, but still, because there is nothing blocking your basically connection to the exhaust on the back here apart from the ground, you get that sound so much, and it just sounds amazing because you feel connected to the car with that sound. It's only a 4-cylinder, but it sounds so emotional. It doesn't sound like the rest of the 4-cylinders. For instance, if you put the Akrapovic on the S3, that sounds like a Golf R performance, but this doesn't. This just sounds special in my opinion. And because you get that sound so close to you, and you sometimes get pops and bangs, as you might have heard just there, it feels just something that you can't really describe. I don't know how to put it into words. It's just a really nice feeling. And then you're sitting so low to the ground here, you feel really connected to the floor. Like I said, you get around 100 kilograms less of weight in here, which really does make the performance around corners and just the agility of this car a lot better, which you definitely notice. It still tries to push out the back a lot, especially if you turn the traction control off. It's going to kick out the back really quickly, and you need to be very precise when turning this car into corners a little bit faster. I don't want to try it out because the roads are not too nice here. There was a little bit of traction loss on the back. But still, the punch and just the weight of this car, 1.395 tons or 1,395 kilograms. Oh, it is so fun to drive this car on the country roads. It is amazing. But seriously, I read a lot of things that this car really lose traction quite quickly. With these Michelin Super Sports 4S tires, if I'm not totally mistaken, you get so much grip around these corners, and you can just blast it around here, which is so fun. And then with that exhaust, it is a combination that I really do like. The one thing I kind of miss is if you obviously want a manual gearbox, you're only going to be limited to the 6-cylinder, which the 4-cylinder doesn't get a manual gearbox. So if you want that pure, just the complete pure car experience, you're going to be having to look at the 6-cylinder. Then you're not going to have that much fun driving around these country roads, but it is still amazing. One thing that you also get in the, if you go for the very limited 4-cylinder in the basic entry, so the pure one, you are only going to be getting mechanical mechanical dampers and mechanical rear diff. If you get the dynamic, which we have right here, you're going to get those in the well, basically an active one, so an electronically one, which is the same as you get in the 6-cylinder. I, for instance, saw a video on, I think it was Autotop NL, who critiqued that this one did not have the mechanical or the electronical div. Well, it does. It does in the dynamic one. I think he drove a pure, so he was just limited to that. But the dynamic one does get it, which is the higher version of the 4-cylinder. Which is nice, because then you're not going to be sliding around too much in the corner. You just have way more grip in the corners as well because of that rear diff. And the active dampers really do soften up and harden the suspension in here depending on your drive style. And you'll definitely notice that this is just a very sporty suspension. It's going to be hard around bumps. It's going to be hard around corners. You're not going to have too much lateral movement. But that's exactly what you want from this car. You want a pure, exciting performance car that you can drive around this corner. And there you go. You got that a little bit traction loss on the rear right there. There was a... There you go again. That was a little bit weird. That was felt like it had traction, but then it just lost it a little bit. But wow, does this drive amazing. I haven't driven the 6-cylinder, so I can't compare it. Hopefully we will get the chance in the future. So Toyota, please hook us up with the 6-cylinder. But this is one of the most fun cars I've ever driven. I'll be completely honest. It is so much fun. You really got to turn off the traction control to make it lose traction. There was a little bit of traction loss, but that just looked really bad on my end. Ooh, Shelby ripoff? No, what is that? I have no idea, but that looked fun. There was right seating as well. Oh, and that sound as well in sport mode, it just shifts up so late, up to 6,500 RPMs. It really is an amazing car. If you compare it to the Z4, it's also going to weigh a little bit less. It is going to weigh, I think, around 35 kilograms less. The Z4 on the inside is going to be a little bit more modern. It's going to be a little bit more practical because it's not as hard when it comes to suspension as this car. But this... If you would have turned off traction control, you could have drifted around that corner. No joke. It is... If you turn on traction control, this thing is, well, it sticks to the ground with traction control. Without it, well, it doesn't. And I don't want to try it in this video because I don't want to experience the thrill of crashing a car, because I'm not that experienced when it comes to drifting and to losing traction and trying to gain it back. But seriously, if you're looking for a car that is gonna get enjoyment, if you want more agility, if you want more performance, then get the 6-cylinder. If you want more agility, get the 4-cylinder. If you're looking for a track car, the 6-cylinder is obviously going to be faster on tracks, but this is going to be more fun in my opinion, because you just get more agility from it. The 6-cylinder, okay, on straight lines, you're just gonna kick it, but the 4-cylinder just feels so fun. I don't know how to describe it. It is amazing. And that's a nice... Is that no, it's an S6. Loser can't afford an R6. Let's punch it one more time. Oh, it is so much fun. Well, what's my final verdict? Well, this car is amazing. It drives amazing. The price is maybe a little bit high if you get the 4-cylinder with the dynamic version, because you can almost get a Cayman for that price. You could theoretically also upgrade to the 6-cylinder. 6-cylinder, like I said, more power, more performance, less agility, less fun in my opinion. You do get a manual gearbox on that, so if you're looking for that, well, it's going to be a little bit more fun. And that guy also loves these roads. But in general, the driving characteristics of this car, it is so much fun. The enjoyment that you get from it, you get it from, I haven't had it from any other car. And just the looks. So many people look at this car, which is ridiculous. We've had an RS5 Competition Plus, we've had a neon green RS3, but nobody in any sort of way looked at a car as much as they did on this car. I've had like teenagers go like, whoa, they put their hands before their mouth and then they just go, wow, what a sick car. I've had people put their thumbs up. It is ridiculous with this car, because there are not that many in Germany that exist. I think in total they've only sold around 4,000 of them, and 300 in the last year or something like that. But wow, is this more fun. I would definitely pick this up rather than in the Z4 because just of the way it looks. and the way it feels. It is amazing. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.